Hey, everybody. Welcome to Fun List Friday right here on the Eat Sleep List YouTube channel. My name is Matt Johnson, your host, and thank you so much for being with me here today. I've been in a big Star Wars mood lately. All right. I think if you've been watching this show long enough that you understand that I have a bit of an obsessive personality. All right. Something happens, something clicks, I hear something, I talk about something, and all of a sudden I become obsessed with it and feel the need to talk about it in the form of one of these videos. All right, and I'm not sure exactly what triggered this. It could have been, I'm guessing, because I've been sitting on this one for a little while. I have to admit, I've been sitting on this one for a little while. But when I wrote this one out, planned this one out, I was probably listening to the music, which happens a lot. John Williams' Star Wars albums are legendary, and a frequent listen throughout every day. I mean, at work, in the car on the way home, right now, working out, getting back on the workout train, I listen to Star Wars music. I watch Star Wars action clips. I do all that. And it's fun. Star Wars is a big part of my life. It's probably my favorite fandom of all fandoms, of all pop culture things, and it got me thinking too. Like, man, I really haven't done a Star Wars list at all. Like, I've done one in the 10, 11 months that we've been doing this for. I only did one specific Star Wars list. It's popped up from time to time in other videos that I've done, but I did the Star Wars lightsaber battles list for May the 4th. Other than that, nothing. And part of me is proud of myself that I don't just keep going back to that, right? Like, I haven't made this the Star Wars list show, even though I think that would be kind of fun. I would never do that. I want to challenge myself and do different things that are a little bit maybe out of my comfort zone. It'd be like, the frequency of me doing video game lists all the time. Like, I don't want to do that all the time. I'm actually a little bit burned out on video game lists. That's the reason why this is the Star Wars movies list and not the Star Wars video games list, to be perfectly honest with you. That's how tapped out on video games I've been. But this franchise is so great. It is. No matter what you think about it, there's the movies are great to discuss, all right, to rank. Everybody has something different that works for them. All right, you're about to hear my list, my top 10 list in a few moments. My list is irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. In the grand scheme of opinions on Star Wars, my list is completely irrelevant, but it means something to me. Your list, should you come up with one and place it in the comments or send it in our email, is irrelevant in the grand scheme of opinions on Star Wars. But it's important to you. It reflects how you feel about this movie franchise. There's been ups and downs. Right? Everybody has their favorite generation. And that's what makes this list making so great, so fun, so interesting, is because everybody came into it at a different point in life. Like, we have the original trilogy generation. Those movies came out. Beloved, cherished, honestly, some of the greatest movies of all time, period. All right, so we had that. 77 to 83, those came out. And then came the prequel trilogy. That's my generation. That was my entryway into loving Star Wars, was the prequel generation. And a lot of the OG fans did not like the prequel trilogy. I think everybody can remember that. I think the prequels still get a lot of flack. And it was hard to, liked certain aspects of the prequel trilogy, and people were like, this isn't really Star Wars. Like, that weird, smugness, gatekeepingness of Star Wars fans. And then after the prequel trilogy, you thought that Star Wars was done, and then it comes back in 2015 to 2019. You get 7, 8, and 9 in that stretch, as well as a couple other fun films. But that trilogy unified prequel and original trilogy fans in like their anger and hatred towards it. And while I think there were definitely a lot of misses when it came to the sequel trilogy, I think it's great for the people who love and enjoy it. All right, the sequel trilogy, whether you love or hate it, was a gateway for many people into the world of Star Wars, the same way that the prequel trilogy was for myself and many others. And I don't know. Disney Star Wars era, there's been a lot of misses. There's been a lot of hits too, but I don't know. The nonstop debate is always interesting. But I love to see that people are so passionate about which Star Wars means something to them. All right, which movies, which shows, which all of that, what means the most to each and every one of them. So I think the movie list debate is great. I think it is. And what makes it even more wonderful is that the list, it's just an opinion. All right, it's from a certain point of view, as the great Ben Kenobi once said, and all that matters is what these films mean to us individually. All right, everybody, here is my favorite part of every single video that we do. It is time to make the list. As I always encourage, please feel free to comment along in the comment section or send us an email. eatsleeplistpod@gmail.com. That email address is in every single video description that we do. This is the Star Wars movies list. I am only doing 10. I know there's 11 live-action films. I'm focused only on the live-action. So the Star Wars Clone Wars movie, as much as I enjoy it, it is not a part of this. It wasn't what I was looking at. It wasn't the criteria of this list. Otherwise, it actually might be on here. Also, sorry, the holiday special is not on here as well, which is a great watch. It's a fun time. Free on YouTube for anybody who ever wants to rewatch that glorious piece of mess. It is free on YouTube, not very hard to find. But I'm gonna do 10. I'm gonna just rank my 10 favorites. You're gonna hear about the 11th one a little bit, even though I don't think it deserves it. In my opinion. But here we go. My top 10 favorite Star Wars movies. Number 10. Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. All right. What a interesting film. I was so disappointed with Episode 8. Episode 8 was, in my opinion, the worst of it. Some people love it. I think some people love it for the wrong reasons. Because I have heard a lot of people love it because they know that other people hate it, which is really, really strange way to operate. But Episode 9 tried their best to salvage what was. All right. And it did okay. It did okay. I actually thought this movie was really blah until I watched the extended version in the hospital after my son had been born. It was on like TBS or TNT, something like that. And they played the extended version. I go, oh, wow, okay. So it's helping a lot of things like make a little bit more sense. My one friend argued that no movie should need an extended cut to make sense. And I can agree with that. You know, the Justice League, right? The Snyder Cut, Justice League, all that stuff. But there were some things that worked in Rise of Skywalker. I thought the Palpatine thing was shoehorned. I thought it was a moment of desperation. I don't know if that was the original plan. It did a good job, I think, of moving the story forward and eliminating some of the nonsense that Episode 8 created. There was the some of the saber fights were all right. Like the final moment against Palpatine was kind of cool. But some of it was just nonsense. I mean, I can go in depth about what didn't work. I think there's a litany of things that were just bad. And this is why Disney has a bad rap right now with the Star Wars fan base, because of whatever this was. Do I think the sequel trilogy should be retconned? No. It is what it is. They made it. You can enhance things. I think you can enhance it. I think the movies individually, kind of were lackluster, but you can enhance it through other storytelling means, I think, somehow, some way. But yeah, my number 10, Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. But 8 is my absolute least favorite. That would be my number. If I was actually officially fleshing out a 11 movie list, 8 would be the at the very bottom. And there is I legit hate it. That is the first time I ever walked out of a movie theater just disappointed. I felt like nothing happened. Too many gotcha, ooh, something's gonna happen moments. It just ended up disappointing. And yeah, I'm glad Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy got taken away. Number 9. This one I actually rewatched and found a new appreciation for it. It took me a little while because it was part of the blowback from how bad Episode 8 was received, but the Han Solo movie was actually not too shabby. Not too shabby indeed. I was part of the people who were, obviously, like I just said, upset with Episode 8, so I'm like, I'm not going to the theaters to see this. If this is what Disney has to offer, then I'm not going to see this. And I didn't. And then I eventually watched it when it came to Disney Plus, and I was like, oh my God, this is dreadful. This whole film is dreadful. And after the sequel trilogy kind of, was done, a couple years went by, I'm trying to do better as a person and just give things a shot and not hate watch things because the internet told me it's bad. I rewatched Han Solo, and I actually really liked it. I thought the actor did a really good job portraying Han. Obviously the few things that just were weird and wacky. I'm really disappointed that we might not ever get a follow through with that the Darth Maul scene towards the end. That would have been really neat to have happen. But overall, I think it's I thought it was pretty fun. The interesting cast of characters. You're getting Woody Harrelson. Paul Bettany is in there. There's a couple other great actors and actresses. It was a fun, obviously, Lando. Oh, my God. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I thought he did a really great job as well portraying Lando. I thought he gave a little bit extra, oomph to the character, which really didn't need much as it was. But I think he did a really good job portraying Billy D. Williams, iteration of that. So Han Solo comes in at number 9. Number 8, The Force Awakens, Star Wars Episode 7. I generally love this movie. I just rewatched it actually in preparation for this video. I generally like The Force Awakens. All right. I remember when it was announced that we were getting a new Star Wars film. All right, December of 2015, I was so hyped. The pre-sale tickets were crazy, hard to get, and I remember I seen it twice in theaters, and I generally I really, really enjoyed it. All right, J.J. Abrams did a really good job, I think, setting up this whole trilogy for what it can be. I thought the moment, at the very end with the Kylo Ray battle was pretty cool. I mean, there's a couple things obviously you can nitpick, but that moment where Kylo's reaching out for the Skywalker saber and then it ends up going to Rey anyways, and the way the music plays, it was really cool. The concept, I know they reused the Death Star concept for that final planet, but I thought there were some interesting things in that. It left it was a great cliffhanger. Like, it left me excited for more. And that's why it broke my heart so much when I took a day off of work to go see Star Wars Episode 8 with my entire extended family. And it hurt a lot. It hurt a lot. But yeah, Force Awakens, I love it. A lot of really great stuff in there, and it is my number 8. Number 7, I'm going to go Attack of the Clones. All right, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. I was so excited for this one, man. Get to see Anakin Skywalker as a Jedi in action. That's my dude. Anakin Skywalker is my favorite fictional character, period. End of story. And to kind of see him as a adult, as a Jedi apprentice, using the lightsaber, battling, and all sorts of things. It was really neat. I went and seen this for my turned 11 in 2002. Yeah. And we had a big party. It was my birthday party. My dad took me and my friends to the theater to go see it, and I had a blast. Had a nice Anakin Skywalker cake. I was collecting Star Wars figures at the time, like collecting them and leaving them in the package. So Episode 2, it was like the first like film that I was doing that went in and just buying whatever I could and putting them away. It was really neat. The film, though, the film, I understand why people can dislike it. I do. I have so much personal attachment to it. With it, I love the portrayal of Anakin. I do, and he gets a lot of flack for it. A lot of people hate the way that Anakin was portrayed by Hayden Christensen. I see no problem with it. All right, we watch celebrity children get gassed up for years and years and years, and then when the crash out finally happens, we take metaphorical, like we chastise them. We talk about how trash they are. Anakin Skywalker was that. The chosen one, gassed up by the Jedi Order, and eventually, with the start of the Clone Wars, the entire Republic, and he reacted the way that I think any teenager, young adult would. But the battle stuff was really cool. The battle in the Geonosis arena was really interesting and fun to do. Fun to witness, seeing all the Jedi in action. So many lightsabers on the screen at the same time, the debut of the Clone Army, and I really do enjoy the final lightsaber battle. We get, obviously, Anakin, Obi-Wan against Dooku, and, of course, we get our first bit with Yoda, all right? First lightsaber battle with Yoda, which people are hit or miss with that whole thing, but it was a fun little bit. I remember watching that and seeing Yoda limp into that little chamber, and then laughing. Like, I remember as a kid just laughing that he's twirling around, he's going crazy. And then as soon as the lightsaber battle's done, he starts limping again and being slow and pokey. But there's it does a really good job. Like, I do the they call it the machete cut, I think it is, where I think it's the name for it, where you watch episodes 4 and 5, and then you can watch episode 1, but you don't have to. But you watch episodes 4, 5, go back in time, do 2 and 3, and then watch episode 6. And the reasoning of it is kind of like if it's one unified movie. All right, you get the reveal in episode 5, then you go back in time to see Vader's past as a Jedi, and there's so much stuff that leads up to, a lot of the stuff that leads up to Anakin turning into Vader begins in episode 2. There's a large chunk of it. But it's a very cool way to watch the films, I think, because that means episode 6 is the culmination of both Anakin and Luke's story. If you dare to watch it that way, it's just a cool way to do it. But episode 2, Attack of the Clones, that's my number 7. Number 6 is The Phantom Menace for me. I loved it as a kid. I didn't understand why people didn't like it, but that's because I didn't grow up in the OG trilogy era. It was very different. All right, if you watch it today, you can see that it's very, very different the way that it's portrayed from, the original trilogy, the styling of the original trilogy. They went into this. It was a money-making machine between the nonstop, the toys. All right, the hype was exciting, but I remember the toys that came out that were around for episode 1, and I was elated and absorbed right into it. It was my first Star Wars film, and I was all in. I thought it was a decent story. I mean, there's some like Jar Jar, like I never understood harassing the actor, but the character definitely was blah. It was definitely blah. But there was some cool. Seeing Liam Neeson as a Jedi, young Obi-Wan, the story of how they got Anakin into their kind of realm of things, and that Duel of the Fates lightsaber battle is amazing. I rewatch that all the time. I love the last little bit with Obi-Wan and Maul going one-on-one, how fast-paced it is. I did read somewhere that they slowed it down because they were going so fast, but just it was fresh. It was intense. If all you had known at that time was the original trilogy lightsaber battles, this was a breath of fresh air. It was so fast-paced, technical, hard-hitting, and art. It was artistic. The original trilogy ones look sloppy comparatively, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, the Phantom Menace really, really, I love it in my opinion. I think it gets a bad rap, but that is my number 6. Number 5, Rogue One. Rogue One. I was excited when they announced it because I'm like, oh, it's a non-episode Star Wars movie release. And apparently it was going to lead right up into episode 4, which is cool. It had a tough task, I think, going into it, because it's hard to care about characters that are going to die. Like, are going to die, right? We knew that all of the characters of this were pretty much going to die because they were not seen in the original trilogy. They took the bare bones Star Wars, like it was bare bones sci-fi, all right, and melded it with Star Wars lore, and it was this excellent thing with gunfights and rebellion and all sorts of little things that you don't really think about throughout the original trilogy, like watching the original trilogy. So there was some really cool stuff in there. They gave you just enough like Vader, which I thought was really neat. The part in his castle on Mustafar, the hallway scene, his little hallway scene where he's just destroying rebels and stuff. That was crazy. Was not expecting that. I think it was a very, very good Star Wars. Just enough lightsaber stuff, but so much other stuff along with it. So Rogue One, my number 5. Very, very fond of it. I do have to say, though, I never watched that and was like, ooh, man, I really need a Cassian Andor show. I never thought that. I'm not a big fan of the Andor show. It was another one I had to rewatch to appreciate a little bit, but some of the stuff, it just moves a little slow for me. But that's my number 5. Number 4 is the OG. All right, A New Hope, episode 4. And it's funny because I talk about this quite often. My dad loves to remind me when I get obsessive with Star Wars, but I fell asleep the first time we went to see this. Whenever the re-release was, I think in like 96 or 97. I'm pretty sure it was 97. We went to the movie theater to go see it, and I fell asleep during that opening bit where they're just going, where C-3PO and R2-D2 are just strolling through the desert. It feels painfully long for me every single time I watch that film. But, I mean, this had everything. Like, this was mind-blowing back then. All right, this was amazing cinema. And I think it was the right balance of everything, right? Of spaceships fighting each other, of gunfights, the lightsaber duel obviously is lacking in hindsight comparatively to everything else, but still a pretty cool moment in that regard. But I think A New Hope is a wonderful film, and it set a very high bar for the rest of the franchise. It did. So number 4, A New Hope. Number 3, The Empire Strikes Back. I have a tough time with this one and my number 2. can rotate depending on whenever you ask me. But Empire is, I tried so hard to find this film. I wanted to. I really wanted to because I had A New Hope. I had seen it so many times on TV. I got the VHS for my birthday. But Empire was like elusive. Like I could never find it. Never happened to watch it on TV. And I remember my dad rented a copy of it from Blockbuster, and through some magic, I would have it on tape forever until I needed to. But I wanted to see Luke with the lightsaber. I wanted to see him battle Darth Vader with the lightsaber, especially the blue one. I'm fond of Empire Luke. But there was this is, what a great follow-up. I mean, it expanded so much. You add in all the bounty hunters, the Legend of Boba Fett, and some of these other characters that were really never seen again after that, like IG-88 and Bosk, and some of these other characters that are just legitimately iconic for their brief appearance in this film. Dengar, the short little meeting thing, like Darth Vader laying down what the expectation is, and these characters are iconic, and some of them have never appeared in another live action Star Wars film ever. But the training stuff, right? Luke training to become a Jedi, like I thought that was wonderful. The slow build to that, I think that's why the Rey character gets a lot of flack. Not that I look that deep into it, but we have Episode 5 where a majority of the film, Luke is training with Yoda and struggling hard to use the Force, to not even master, but just use it for the basic stuff. And all of a sudden Rey can convince people to let her go, to release her from when she was trapped by Kylo and all that stuff. I think that was part of the flack because it did disrespect the lore a little bit. But Empire was, I love it. That duel was okay, the Luke and Vader one. Some really cool moments there. Just seeing Luke with his dad's lightsaber going against his dad, but not quite knowing it yet. And that cliffhanger at the end. One of my favorite things to do is go on YouTube and watch a VHS recording of people reacting in the movie theater back in 1980 to that. Like the gasps that came from people when Vader reveals that he's his father. It's pure cinema. It really is amazing. And that's the stuff that I miss about movies. That's the stuff that I enjoy about movies is to be with people and have that, have those kind of reactions to something, Empire is, it is good stuff. I like that it ends in a very dismal, dark way, to obviously, so that Episode 6 is going to come down, is going to happen, but I thought it was just a very dark ending, and I thought it made sense. It made sense that the Empire got one over on the little band of rebels that we were following and falling in love with. That's my number 3. Number 2, Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi is that one, just completing the whole story. And I think that's what another flack is with the, Episode 9, bringing back the Emperor, is that he's dead, he's gone. And I know there's stuff in Legends which alludes to the Emperor kind of still lingering around, but I felt like the whole Episode 6 was in vain because of the way that the sequel trilogy would what it led to. But I mean, you learn so much. You learn so much about the characters. You find out the truth that Vader is really, Luke's father, and you hear the backstory a little bit, and there's just so much revealed. It's a lot. I do think that the stuff with Jabba the Hutt takes a little bit too long. That's another one that I feel like it just dragged out too long. I mean, there was some cool stuff, getting Han Solo back and that whole thing, seeing Luke with the green lightsaber and stuff like that. But there was I don't know, I felt like it took too long, but it was cool because now that the Emperor's in the picture, you can see the Emperor and Vader. Like, you can tell that Vader's conflicted. Like, he doesn't seem as menacing as he did it in the previous films. He almost feels, I don't want to say less than, but you knew something was up, right? Because Episode 4, Vader was pretty menacing, but he was answering to like Tarkin. Episode 5, Vader was like in charge. He was absolutely ruthless. But something about Episode 6, Vader, you knew it from the get-go that something was happening, because he didn't feel as vile as he had in the previous 2 films. Not like emasculated, but there was something was off, and it was a great duel, a great story. The saving of Luke at the very end is a great moment in cinema history. Vader risking his life to save his son, and then the unmasking. It was just all just beautiful cinema. I adore that film. That is my number 2. Number 1, Revenge of the Sith. That's the only one that possibly really could be left at this point. I do believe that Episode 3 is the best complete Star Wars film, and that's just from my life experience. I was there during the hype. I rewatched it this past year in the movie theater because I wanted to seek it out. I wanted to enjoy it once more, and it's amazing. You knew that stuff was going to happen, but you didn't know how. Right? You knew that Anakin was going to turn to the dark side, but you had no idea exactly how it went down. You only have rumors, whispers, and maybe legends content that alluded to that. Revenge of the Sith, I thought, was a perfect balance of everything. I mean, there was a lot of action sequences. There was a lot of good action sequences. There was a great story, riveting story that you knew what was going to happen, but you wanted to see how it unfolded. And I thought it unfolded really, really good. All right, that last saber duel was perfect between Anakin and Obi-Wan. That will always be my favorite lightsaber duel, always, because they knew so much about each other, and it was just, it was crazy. This cast of characters that you have at the beginning of the prequel trilogy, and it's slowly dwindling. And Episode 3, it just goes down to like this, all right? It just goes down to this. All the Jedi are gone, and so many other characters have passed. And it's down to Obi-Wan and Anakin just going at it. And it was just, the intensity. The intensity. It was perfect in the best possible way. But then it, just the way it ends. All right, you get a little bit of a somber ending. All right, Obi-Wan handing off Luke to the Lars and the Lars homestead, Leia going off with Bail Organa, and again, there's a large gap, and you know that the original trilogy is on the other side of it, and it is one of my favorite films of all time, not just Star Wars, but it's something that I go back to frequently because I just enjoy it so much. The tragedy of our Anakin Skywalker. All right, the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker, and yeah, it really is beautiful. So there it is, everybody. That is my Star Wars movie list. Hope that you enjoyed it. Again, I want to hear yours. You can share yours without trying to discredit mine. I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that these lists, like, because I have it a certain way, doesn't mean it's gospel. All right, and it doesn't mean that I'm lesser of a Star Wars fan because I think differently than you. I'd love to hear your list. All right, and I will not tell you are wrong. I will tell you that I'm just glad that you love Star Wars enough to make a list about your favorite movies, and that's how it should be. But thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate you watching this video today. Hope you liked it, and again, I hope you comment your favorite Star Wars films. If you want to do 10, if you want to do a couple, doesn't matter. Love to see it. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and we will see you on Monday. Take care. Until next time, do you even list?